So if you didn't hear me on the other page, because I threw up a personal live instead of movements, towards the end of yoga, you're going to need a timer of some sort. So maybe your phone on airplane or kitchen timer, whatever works. All right, so hopefully we found some wall space because we're going to need it. All right, so let's find a comfy seated position on our mat. We can do a half lotus, full lotus, cross legs, butterfly legs, whatever feels best for us. So first, we're going to bring our arms onto our legs. We're going to roll the shoulders up, back, and down. We're lifting the chest so that we have lots of room to breathe here. We're going to close our eyes for a moment. We're going to inhale through our nose if we can, and as we're inhaling, we're expanding the belly, we're expanding the rib cage, we're creating lots of space to breathe. And then on the exhale, we use the abdominal muscles to pull in and push the air out of our lungs. We inhale, deepen that breath, taking in as much air as we can, and then we exhale. Abs in, air out. Let's continue breathing. So we're inhaling into the low belly. Our shoulders stay back. And then we exhale. Let's take 2 more deep breaths here. As we're exhaling, we're going to get ready to just lean forward and stretch the hips and back. So we want to lift up and start to lean forward. So this is the bottom half of our body, the top half of our body, and we want to hinge from the hip, which means we're keeping the spine straight as we fold. So let's inhale and then exhale. Just keep the chest and chin up as we're breathing. The straighter we keep the spine, the more we're going to feel the stretch in our back. Inhaling, exhaling. Maybe we lower a little bit more. Inhaling again, and then we exhale. So every exhale just lowers us a hair deeper into our fold. Continuing our breath, continuing that work to get a little bit lower. We want to warm up certain parts of our body before we do all the crazy stuff on the wall. We're going to inhale all the way back up, and if we are seated in a lotus or crisscross applesauce, we want to switch which leg is on top. If we're in butterfly, stay right there. Same thing, we want to hinge from the hips, so let's inhale, lift the chest up, and then we're going to exhale, lower down. We do not want to round our spine here. Let's inhale a little bit taller and exhale, using that breath to get lower and lower into the pose. Inhaling, and maybe we've been home for so long, our body is so relaxed that our whole torso folds to the floor and our forehead can rest down. Continuing that inhale and that exhale. And then we want to roll our body all the way up to the top. Let's bring our hands out to the side, shoulders down. We're going to take a breath up, inhaling all the way to the top. When we're at the top here, we want to stretch tall, and then we want to turn the palms down and exhale out. As we're breathing, our torso is long. We don't want to have a slouchy posture here. Let's start to take our gaze and follow our hands. And as we exhale down, we take our chin to our chest, just stretching out our neck. Let's take one more very deep, intentional breath, reaching up. Bringing our palms together, we're going to exhale to heart center. Just right here, we're going to take a pause, and then we're going to turn one elbow to the side just to start to twist our spine. Pressing the palms together, keep the elbows lifted. We can take our gaze back if it's comfortable. Let's inhale back to the center, and then we're going to exhale to the other side. Taking our gaze behind us if it's comfortable. And then inhaling back to center. One more time each side. We're going to exhale. As we exhale, let's pull the belly really tight to get a little deeper into the twist. Inhaling back to the center. Let's keep our shoulders down. Holding our tension up here is not so healthy. Exhale to the other side. Taking our gaze back if we want. And then coming back to the center. So let's just roll the shoulders down and back. The most important thing we can learn about a wall practice is we're not meant to do everything that's thrown at us. So if we don't like a pose, we back down to the next or the previous level that was given to us. We are going to come into child's pose, and we want to tuck the big toes right at the corner of the wall. So as we move back, we want to settle the hips down, breathing. Now we can move those hips side to side. Let's come back to the center and just round the spine up until we're in tabletop. We're breathing. We want our hips right underneath the knees right under the hips, the wrists underneath the shoulders. We want to inhale, come into our first cow pose, and then exhale, really press the spine up. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Let's take one more cat pose. Hold that cat up like it's scared. Separate the shoulder blades. Tuck the hips in, chin to chest. And then we're going to come down into tabletop. Keeping our belly secure here. We are going to start to stretch the body in downward dog. But in a wall position, our toes are touching the wall here. We want to turn the toes under. We want to kind of glue our hands in place, and we're coming into a really tight downward dog. Our heels are going to touch the wall. We want to sink our chest towards the knees and breathe. With our heels touching the wall, let's start to sway the hips. Let's remember to push the knuckles and every tip of our finger into the floor. Spread those fingers out for yogi hands. Spread the toes out for yogi toes. We're going to sway the hips back to the center. And then we're going to lift one of our legs up and just reach to the wall. The knees bent here. And then as we are moving the leg, we can start to work higher and higher and higher. Maybe our knee stays bent the whole time. We might be a little tight. If we're feeling good in this downward dog, we can flip the toes under. Breathing. We should feel a lot of heat in the upper body right now. Slowly bending that knee, we're going to bring it down to the floor. We're going to switch sides. We're going to just step the foot up a little bit, get used to this feeling. We're going to sink our chest towards the wall. And then as we get comfortable in this pose, we can start to work the leg up higher and hit the pictures on the wall. Sinking the chest towards the wall. If we are comfortable, we can flip the toes. Still sinking towards the wall. We're going to feel some intense stretching here. If you guys have any questions about these poses, just type them in and hit send. Let's bring that foot down, and we're coming back into child's pose. Stretching the arms out if that's comfortable, or even stacking the fists underneath our forehead. We want to take really deep cleansing breaths while we're holding our child's pose. This is going to be very upper body exertive. Let's come back up to hands and knees. We're going to sway the knees side to side. Sway the hips side to side, not the knees. And then we're going to look down at our hands, and we are going to lower our right elbow to right where the palm was. Then the left elbow right to the palm was. And when we look forward, our thumbs are going to be touching and our fingers are spread out. We're going to tilt the tailbone up here, and then on our exhale, we're going to tuck the hips in around the spine. Just a mini version of cat-cow. Inhaling, let's come in and tilt the tailbone. Exhale, tuck the hips. Back and forth we go. Let's inhale. Now when we're doing wall classes, we have to really fight the urge to move our arms farther away from the wall. But we want to be safe, so we're going to listen to our yoga teacher, right? We're going to tuck the toes under here. We're gluing the palms down. We're pressing the forearms in, and we are pressing up to our dolphin pose. We're breathing here. Our heels are going to touch the wall. Press away from the mat. Sink the chest towards the wall. Now let's try to press the knees up towards the ceiling, but not lock our knees. Now using those fabulous yoga muscles that we all have, we're going to lift one of our arms up and come into downward dog, sinking towards the wall. Press away from the mat. Get really, really strong here. Now let's step our foot in a couple inches, and then the other foot, bend the knees, and we're going to walk our hands back until we can come into supported monkey. Breathing. Flat backs here, so not letting our shoulders round out. We want to come up, chin up, chest up. Releasing all the way to forward fold. Let's bring our hands together and let's round that spine all the way up, reaching tall. Let's bring our hands back down, rolling the shoulders. We're in a mountain pose here. We're going to turn around and we are going to work on some wall stuff. And later on, we're going to get into handstands and stuff. Hold on a sec here, you guys. I don't want to cut off your handwork. So we want to kind of gauge how far away from the wall we should be according to our height. So if we step back a little bit, we should be able to lift one of our legs and be able to put the foot flat on the floor, or flat on the wall, not the floor. And we don't want to see the knee bending like this. If our knee is bending, we might have to hop this foot back a little bit and then press straight. But we're not allowed to lock this knee, so we want to see this tiny little micro bend here. So we're going to bring our hands to heart center. We're going to roll the shoulders down and back. And then on our next breath, so we're inhaling, we're going to exhale, reach fingertips to touch the wall. If we can't reach the wall, we're going to touch our ankle or shins. And then we're going to inhale back. Exhaling, lean forward. Inhaling, we're coming up. Exhaling. Inhaling, we're feeling our hamstrings big time. If we need to keep a micro bend there so we don't feel like our hamstrings are going to snap, that's fine. Let's take one more. We're going to exhale forward. We're going to inhale up, and then right here we're going to take a spinal twist. We're going to bring the opposite arm across the thigh, and then we're going to sweep into spinal twist. We want to inhale tall. We want to exhale, pull that top shoulder back. And then if our balance is good, we can look out over that stretched hand. Let's bring it back. Now we're going to come into this position where we pull the heel off the wall, and now this knee is bent up. We're breathing. Now we're going to work on this bottom leg. So let's just bring the hands into mountain pose and then lift that bottom heel up so we're on the tippy toes. And release. Lift to tippy toes and release. We want to feel the muscles in our foot burning. Keep breathing. And then let's release. We're going to step this foot down and just heel toe a little bit. All right, let's switch to the opposite leg. We want to lift up and make sure that we can extend straight out from the wall. So as soon as I did this, I was too close, so I have to step back a little bit and then try again. And when we take this straight leg up, straighten, we want to make sure that we're not locking. So let's bring our hands to heart center. Let's take an inhale. And then exhale, lean forward to tap the wall, the ankles or the shin. Let's inhale. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Let's keep breathing. As long as we're breathing, the poses are going to do their job. If we need to bend this knee a tiny bit to stay safe and secure, we can. Let's take one more. And then let's inhale up. So my foot keeps sliding down the wall, and I want to make sure that it is up and level with my hip socket here. So let's take a deep breath. Make sure this knee is not locked. Let's bring the opposite hand across. And then let's sweep the other arm back. We're tall here. We're inhaling. Let's twist. Pull that top shoulder back. We can look over the back arm if we are comfortable here. We're breathing. How you guys doing? We should feel a lot of burning muscles. And then let's bring it back. We're going to lean the knee in a little bit or pop it up, whatever works best for us. Now that bottom foot holding mountain pose, we're going to lift the heel and down. We want to come up to tippy toes and keep breathing. You guys, I promise if we can get through this warm up and work phase, the end of a wall class is magic. But we have to be warmed up for that. Let's lift one more time to tippy toes. And then step that foot down. So we want a heel toe here. All right, so now that same hip width that we had to stand away from the wall for our long leg, we're gonna find the hip bones and put our fingertips there. We're gonna tilt the tailbone back as we lean forward. And then we're gonna stretch our palms onto the wall and sink the chest. We wanna be a straight line up with the legs and a straight line to the wall with the rest of our body. We're inhaling and exhaling. Every time we tilt the tailbone up, we should feel the back of our legs stretching. We're still breathing here. Every inhale expands the lungs. Every exhale pulls the belly in to push that air back out. So we're contracting. Let's press away from the wall with the entire palm of our hand, our fingertips. Let's make sure that our head is not dropping. We want our neck muscles working here. Let's take the right arm and just bring it back beside us like we're getting ready to do warrior 3. So the fingertips are reaching towards or away from us, towards the wall behind us. And then let's bring it back forward. Switching to the other side, the left arm reaches away from the body. It's pulling the shoulders away from the wall. Slowly, we're going to release our hands to the floor and let our whole body hang. If we feel comfortable here, we can take an elbow in each hand and sway. We can keep our fingertips on the floor and sway. Or we can just stay still, enjoying forward fold. Let's tilt the tailbone up a little bit more. Straighten the legs. Releasing the hands down. Let's bend the knees in enough to bring the palms flat to the floor. We don't want our knees flaring out here, straight forward. And then we're going to glue the hands down and press those legs a little bit straighter into forward fold. The warmer we get, the closer we can bring those flat palms to our feet or to our toes. Let's press the tailbone up higher, and maybe we sink the torso closer to our knees. Slowly, let's bring our hands to our shins, and we are lifted to supported monkey. Keep breathing, you guys. Let's bend the knees in, bring the palms together, and roll all the way up through to mountain pose. Let's smile, because I can just imagine the stuff that is going through your head or coming out of your mouth right now. We're breathing. Good posture. Just catching our breath. Let's remind ourselves that mountain pose resets our posture, resets our breath, gives us a chance to rest. And then we're going to turn around. We are going to stand back up against the wall that is behind us. And we're going to take those claw hands, so we don't want our fingers dropping in. And we're going to touch the wall right behind our glutes, our butt cheeks. So just the fingertips are touching. We're going to roll our shoulders back and down. We're taking a deep breath in. And then let's step away from the wall just a tiny bit, but our fingers are going to stay glued here. We don't want to see the hips throwing themselves forward. The tailbone stays tilted here in mountain pose. We're inhaling. Step a little farther away. Maybe it's just a half inch at a time that we're working on this. But the more we roll the shoulders back and keep the chest up, the more this is gonna stretch that area right above your heart. It's gonna, bring love for your yoga teacher. Take a deep breath. Maybe we move a little farther away from the wall, but we're still touching the wall. Keep working, you guys. So my shoulders want to cheat and bend in here, but they need to stay rolling back. Now let's step a little closer to the wall, bringing our hands back. So for just a few moments, we're going to practice a super deep breath to get us ready for back bending here. So we're going to step all the way back against the wall. Our heels are going to touch the wall. Our tailbone is going to touch the wall. Our shoulders roll back and down. And then we bring the back of our hands against the wall. We're breathing. So if we're standing in mountain pose, the center of our back will not be touching the wall. Now we can just bring our head back against the wall. When we take a deep breath here, our ribs truly should expand out like a balloon. And then on the exhale, we're pushing that air out. Belly super tight. Inhaling. All these pressure points stay against the wall as we're taking this breath. The small of our back should not be touching the wall. Our hamstrings are not going to be touching the wall. Maybe our calves. So let's keep breathing. Let's bring our hands to our waistline. We're going to step our right foot way forward. We're gentle on our feet here. We're going to hip hinge at this point. So let's just bend the front knee forward. And let's hip hinge, breathing. Breathing and breathing. We're going to keep our hands here or here. We can move our hands to heart center. And we're going to step that back foot up the wall a tiny bit. And then a tiny bit more. And then a tiny bit more. And a tiny bit more. Let's straighten that supporting leg and then bringing the arms back beside us. We're just coming into a little bit of a Warrior 3 Superman. Breathe. Grow tall here. Don't lock this knee. And then we're rolling all the way up. Bring that foot back. We're stepping back into mountain pose on the wall. Breathing. Always breathing. Let's make sure that all those pressure points are touching the wall. The back of our head, the back of our shoulders, the glutes, the calves. Taking a deep breath here. Expand the lungs. Contract the lungs. Let's keep breathing. We've got the other side to do in our Warrior 3 Superman. Let's take that left foot. Step it way out. Gentle. Our whole house should not shake when we step like that. We're inhaling, and then we hip hinge. We're going to bend the front knee forward a little bit as we step the back foot up. Breathing. Step it up a little bit higher. Now we're going to take this supportive leg and straighten it without locking. Hands can come to heart center, or they can come back beside us here. Let's grow a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger, a little bit taller. We're breathing. Let's reach the fingertips towards the wall behind us. We're breathing. Let's go ahead and step back. We're coming in to our wall space again. So just like this action that we did, we're now going to work on a deeper back bend. So we want to bring our hands back and tuck the fingertips in behind our shoulders. Then we're going to squeeze the elbows towards each other so that our ears and biceps are touching almost. We're taking a deep breath. We're going to keep the palms attached to the wall, and then we're going to step away from the wall. Now our hands are going to push into the wall. The elbows are still squeezing towards each other. We're breathing. When we have this down, we can step a little farther away. Now our arms are going to get longer. Breathing. So we want to keep our hands glued right here. If we're not comfortable, we step back. We have to be able to continue that breath here. Every time we exhale, we can keep stepping away from the wall. Our knees are soft. If we are comfortable, we take our gaze up. We're breathing. We're not going to drop our head back. Now let's all start to take those baby steps back in. We're going to squeeze the elbows towards the ears. We're breathing. We're going to practice this back bend one more time. So let's press our palms into the wall. Step away. Squeeze the elbows towards each other. You can stay here. Your shoulders should be burning. Your biceps should be burning. Your triceps. Step away a little bit more if you want. Straighten those arms as you step away. Breathe. The knees do not lock out. Step away. We can take our gaze up if we're comfortable. We're breathing. Always step back and bend the elbows if we're not comfortable. Bend the elbows. Let's all start to work our way back to the wall and release those hands down. Deep breaths. So using the wall as a prop is a non-traditional way to practice yoga poses. So as we get into the harder and harder stuff like our forearm stands and maybe handstands, we have to listen to our body. We have to. Nobody's there to catch us if we fall. Well, maybe somebody's there. We want to make sure that we're listening to cues. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. So we're taking a deep breath. We're going to keep the heels attached to the wall. We're going to see how strong the whole core of our body is. Shoulders back. Tailbone touching the wall. We're going to bend the knees slightly just for, safety in the hamstrings. And we're going to hinge forward on the hips. We're going to bring the hands to the thighs. Let's check in with our toes because we don't want them clutching the mat as our body wants to fall forward. Let's start to walk our hands farther down. Farther down. Don't fall over. Don't fall over. And then once we're in forward fold, we can bring the hands to the mat. Breathe. We're going to walk our hands forward into downward dog. Breathing. Heels on the wall. And then slowly we're coming in to our child's pose, knees together, and our big toes will just be touching the wall. Breathing. Stacking those fists underneath our forehead if we like this option. So we want to stretch our arms out into our child's pose arms. And if we have something handy, so I have my headband here, I'm going to be using this as a pointing spot, I guess. So we're going to draw the elbows back to where the knees are. We're breathing. So I want to move my marker to where my thumb should be. So I'm going to have my headband right here. I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to tuck the toes under and come into a really tight dolphin pose. We want the shoulders to burn. Let's bring it back down. Flip the toes under. We're breathing. The elbows should still be close to the knees. Now, when we go into forearm balances on the wall, it's going to look like angles, not straight lines. So now right where my thumbs are, I'm going to move my elbows up to that position. I'm going to tuck my toes under, and I'm coming back in to that dolphin pose. We're breathing. Pressing our palms into the floor. Our elbows should be very close together. They should not be flaring out. We're going to step our foot up on the wall about 12 inches higher than the floor, and then the other foot can follow. We're pushing the chest towards the wall. We're not pushing away. We're breathing. If we want, we can step an inch higher, but no higher than this. Let's tilt the tailbone up, straighten the legs, pressing away from the floor. Anytime we need to come down and rest, we may do so. And then we get right back up. Before we go up the next time, let's check in that the elbows are close together. We don't want wide arms here. We want this amazing base of support. Let's tuck the toes under. Coming back into our dolphin, we step 12 inches up the wall. Then we can start walking a little bit higher, but no higher than the height of our hips. Press away from the floor. And come down to rest whenever we need. Let's go up one more time. Before we go up, we're checking that all 10 fingers are pressing down. We're breathing. Elbows are close together. Come back into dolphin. Let's press up into our forearm stand. And then this last time, we can take a leg in the air. Don't let it fall behind your head. Just point the toes straight up. Sink the chest closer to the wall. And switch sides. Coming down when we need to rest. Breathing. Here we're going to settle the hips back into child's pose. We're going to lift the fingertips to stretch the shoulders. Let's pull the shoulders back away from our ears. And then slowly, let's sit back on our heels. We're going to be switching to legs up the wall to work on the next set of poses. So we want to make sure that our phone or our computer is relatively close, because in some of those poses we cannot be turning our head left and right. So to get up the wall, but I am going to pretend this whole thing right here is a wall. And what I want to do is come off of my yoga mat a tiny bit and then prop my hip up on that imaginary wall. So as I'm rolling my back to the mat, I'm rolling my legs up the wall, and my butt cheeks should be touching the wall when I go up. So I'm breathing. I got these really straight legs. They're supported. It feels like magic. Let's take our arms up overhead and just let the elbows flare out a little bit. We're taking a rest here. The next few poses that we do are for back decompression. So let's be really careful that we are taking care of our back. Let's slide our feet down to right where the knee level is. Our feet are close together. Let's just roll the tailbone up off the floor. Press into the wall. Roll up. We're breathing. And then roll down. Rolling up. And rolling down. Before we go any higher, let's move our arms down and out from the body. We can even have our arms out to a T if that is comfortable for us. Let's take a deep breath in. And now let's roll the tailbone up and a couple more vertebrae in our spine come up. We feel the weight shifting to our shoulders here. Then let's roll all the way back down. Let's roll up. Maybe this time we roll all the way up so that the hips are coming forward. We're breathing. We want the weight of our body to drop towards the shoulders. It kind of massages the shoulders. Rolling our hips all the way back down. We're breathing. We're going to take our next breath, roll the hips up. And then we're going to move the arms so that we're pressing the palms into the mat. Let's press the hips higher. And if we can, let's bring our hands up on to the high butt cheeks. We're helping to support our body here. We're going to walk our elbows closer together and we're breathing. We're going to lift the heels off the wall, squeeze the glutes and push the hips up over our shoulders. If we're comfortable here, we can take a leg straight up and breathe. If we're not comfortable, just practice the heels coming to the wall and away from the wall. When we're in shoulder stands, we never turn our head left and right. Our gaze is up. We're here to protect our body. If we have a leg up, let's switch to the other one. That leg is straight up. We're not going anywhere else yet. Bringing it back. We're breathing. Let's walk the elbows a little closer together. If we're tired, we can always slowly roll down. If we took our legs up, we can now practice both. Our choice. Or we can practice one. I know some of us are over-eager at home, and we probably want to go to plow pose, but we're not going to plow pose. Let's bring our toes back to the wall. We're going to roll down one vertebra at a time. Create some space between the shoulder blades. Legs go back up the wall. I inched away from the wall when I was doing my shoulders, so I want to come back out and bring the legs back up. We're going to slide the right foot down on top of the thigh. If we can't get down to this position, we're just going to cross at the ankles. So just a reclined pigeon pose. Let's make sure we're breathing. Our arms are going to come out. If this pigeon pose is tight, we're going to stay here. If we'd like to feel a little bit more, we can start to slide our foot down the wall and make the pigeon pose intense. We're still breathing here. This probably feels so good to our bodies. Let's release that leg straight back up the wall. And we're going to switch sides. Remember, we can cross at the ankles here if the reclining pigeon is too much. We're going to bring our ankle down to the thigh here. We want to keep the foot flexed just for safety. Just hold here, breathe here for a moment. We can stay here, or we can bring that foot down the wall to make this pigeon pose a little more intense. Let's check in with our shoulders, make sure they're away from our ears. still breathing. Let's slide that foot up the wall. The other foot follows. We're coming into one of the most magical butterflies that we can feel. We're going to slide our feet down as far as we want on the wall. We can even use those hands to assist in this stretch. But once we're as low as we want to go, we want the knees to press open on their own. And then only if we choose, we can bring our hands to the inner thighs and just add a tiny bit of pressure. We're not pushing our knees open here. We're just assisting in the stretch. We have lots of room to breathe, so let's inhale. Let's exhale. Let's keep that breath deep. Let's slowly draw our knees together as tight as we can. So our feet are going to be propped on the floor or on the ceiling. On the ceiling. I get myself together here, friends. On the wall. We're going to take our arms out to a T. We're going to slowly walk those feet all the way to the right and take the knees to the floor or as far as they'll go. If our shoulders and neck are comfortable, we can turn our head to the left. We're breathing. We're just using this wall to make these poses amazing. Let's bring our head back to the center. Let's walk our feet back up the wall, knees together. We're breathing. On the next breath, we're walking our toes down the other side. We're squeezing the knees still in towards the chest. This kind of helps push the air out of our body. If we're comfortable, our head turns to the opposite side and we're breathing. Let's bring our head back to the center and we're going to walk our feet back. Now right here, we're going to pause, bringing our hands into the pits of our knees. We're just going to sway the knees. And while we're doing this, we can grab socks, sweatshirts, blankets, and those timers. Our relaxation is going to look a little bit different. So when we're ready, let's slide the legs up the wall. We want the butt cheeks touching the wall. We want the back of our legs touching the wall. We want our feet flexed up here. We're breathing. Our hands can be down beside us or they can be stacked underneath our head as a pillow. We're going to stay right here and we're going to practice breathing. Our breath is an inhale that is deep into our body. And an exhale that relaxes our body. So we're going to grab our timer and we're going to set it for 15 minutes. Once we have our timer set, we want to make sure that we're relaxed. Those legs are up the wall. Our hands are relaxed, either underneath our head or down beside our body. If our hands are down beside our body, we're going to turn our palms up. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to practice our breathing. So with our legs up the wall, after a few moments, we might feel tingling in our toes. And if we don't like that, then we slide our legs back down to that butterfly that we did against the wall. I'm going to make sure that we're feeling our best in the very last parts of this class. And then we have a little bit of a homework assignment. In 2 days from now, we're going to do this video again, but we're going to pause at any of those parts that we struggled with. Maybe the backbending parts, maybe where we were putting our foot against the wall and twisting, or maybe it was the forearm stands with our feet on the wall. Just take some time to pause the video and practice, and then always remember to breathe. So our timers are set. We're going to talk ourselves through the beginning parts of Shavasana. And then I'm going to be ending the live feed so that you guys can continue resting until your timer goes off. And when your timer goes off, we're going to roll to our side, stay curled up for a few moments. And then we're going to sit ourselves up and just taking some time to breathe with our back against the wall. So let's come into a comfortable position. The shoulders walk away from our ears. Our glutes and the back of our legs are resting on the wall. We're taking a deep breath in here. And as we do, let's curl the toes. Let's squeeze the glutes. Let's squeeze the shoulder blades. Let's squeeze our hands if they're not underneath our head. Let's squeeze our lips together. Our cheeks, our eyebrows, our hairline. Every muscle in our body is working to create extra energy here. So let's inhale deep and squeeze tighter. On our exhale, we're going to release all those muscles. We're releasing our breath. We're melting into the floor, melting against the wall. We're inhaling together. We're taking that breath deep into our low lungs and belly. We can take a pause here, practicing our breath retention. And then we slowly exhale that air out. Let's inhale deeper. This time we're taking the breath even farther into our lungs. We're pausing that breath when our lungs are full. And then we're slowly exhaling that air out. Let's inhale together as a class. Taking this last deep breath together. Pausing at the top. And then slowly exhaling out. We are working to ignore distractions around us. So if we hear pets or kids or loud noises, we're going back to that breath. We concentrate on breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's keep our focus here. Staying still, practicing this quietness.